We've learned how to create poses using set-driven keys. So I'm going to just add another bonus pose. Um, for the assignment, I'm going to require that you guys have at least a fist pose and a finger spread pose. You can add more than that if you'd like to, but at the very least, I want to see two poses. And maybe I'll add in one of your choice, so you can do a thumbs up or an A-OK or whatever the case may be. Um, just keep it tasteful. So let's add one more. So let's do the spread. So I'm going to go and grab the circle. I'm going to add another attribute. I'm going to call it spread. And I'm going to make the minimum maximum the same, minus 10, plus 10, 0. And we're going to hit OK. So there's the spread. So now I'm going to change my driver to spread. So I'm going to have to update this. So I'm just going to load the driver again because the spread wasn't listed there. I'm going to select spread as my new driver. However, the driven are going to be the same. It's the same fingers. But for spread, I actually only need to worry about the base joints. So I'm going to deselect, because I don't want to set keys that are unnecessary, because that'll just, more keys means more complexity. So if you're keying something that's not actually changing, it's kind of a waste of time. So I'm going to deselect these. I'm going to select just the main pose groups for each finger. So that will allow me to adjust these outwards. So the spread, as you can see, is going to take, it's going to be a one finger at a time situation, which is fine. So now that I've got everything selected that I need, and actually, let me see here. Spread is going to be in a Z rotation. So again, I don't want to set keys I don't need. For spread, I do not need the extra value, so I'm going to uncheck X and Y and make sure I'm just rotating Z to keep it simpler. So let's zero this out. And with that done, I'm going to set my first key for 0, for spread 0, which is the default pose. Now, with that set, I'm going to set my spread to 10, so the maximum spread. And I'm going to select the appropriate joints. So I'll start with the fingers. I'm actually going to do one at a time. So I'll start with the index. I'm going to rotate that out. Then I'm going to do the ring. Rotate that out. And the pinky. Usually the middle stays put for a spread. And then the thumb. Now, actually, I'm going to add the thumb after. And the reason being, the thumb actually has a different axis because of the opposing nature of it. So I'm actually going to uncheck thumb here. I'll do the fingers first. I'm going to set my key and test it. So there it is at 10, there it is at 0. 10, 0, 10, 0, 10, 0. I'm just middle mouse clicking and dragging. So that's looking fine. So now I will go in and get the, well, I'll just finish the fingers. I'll do the minus 10. So set the value first, and then create your pose using the groups. So once again, ring, squish them together, pinky, squish them together, and index, squish them together. Set a key, test it. Perfect. So I'm going to set that back to 0. Now I'll worry about the thumb. So I'm going to deselect everything but the thumb. And for the thumb, I'm probably going to need all 3 axes. So I'm going to select rotate X, Y, and Z. And I'll 0 them out. Set a key. So that's my default position. And now for the 10 value, I just use my thumb groups. I keep forgetting where it is. Set a key. Because the others are selected or unselected, they won't change. So only the thumb is going to get new keys. And hopefully they all sync up. And you can see they do. Now I just need to add the -10 value. So set the value first. Pose the object using the groups. Look at your own hand if you're not sure what it should look like. You've got reference attached to the end of your shoulder, so use it. Set your key. And now go back to the custom attribute and test it. And that's pretty much all there is to it. So you can add as many custom poses as you want. Again, you can, in this case, I'm adjusting the entire hand. If you want to, you could set keys and custom attributes for just individual fingers. So for example, I could add a new custom attribute. Call it left index curl. Oops, I didn't spell it right. I'm going to go back to edit attribute. Spell that correctly. Left index curl. Make sure I select the left index only. And for the curl, I should only need Y. Set my 0 key. Set my 10 value. Go into the index groups. Give myself a maximum curl. The skinning needs a bit more work, obviously. So I'm just curling the finger without bending the knuckle. Set your key. Test it. Oh, did I forget to set my minimum and maximum? I think I did. Yup. Got a bit ahead of myself there. So has minimum, has maximum. And I also forgot to update the driver. See? This is where boo-boos are made. Forgot to update my driver. So I've probably messed up my index spread, which I did, as you can see. Oopsie days. Not gonna panic. Can we fix it? Yes, we can. Fear not. But it's gonna require me to come back to my groups here. I'm gonna zero these values out. So this is where it should be. So with the index selected, spread, rotate Z reselected, I'm going to rekey that at 0. And I'm going to go into the graph editor. So you can actually see set-driven keys in the graph editor. So I'm going to go to Windows, General Editors, or Animation Editor, sorry. Open up the graph editor. And I'm going to minimize this a bit so you can see I've got curves here. So if I select those nodes, you can see in the outliner spread, 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 fist, fist, fist. So they're all listed here. And in this case, the spread should only exist on rotate Z. So if I delete the rotate X and Y values for spread, that should fix the problem. So I'm just going to select spread X, spread Y, delete. I'm going to select them and hit delete. Do the same thing here, spread X and Y, delete. You see Z still exists. Z still exists. And actually, only the main pose group should have it, not 1 or 2, because for spread, we didn't adjust the secondary joints. So I'm going to delete all of the other ones. That makes it even easier. So now all I'm left with is the original Z curve. Now, I should test it, obviously. Zero these values back out. And adjust my custom attribute. There we go. So I just deleted the keyframes and the curves I created. So I'm right back to where I started. So the key thing that I missed is I forgot to add the attribute here. So let me just do that part again, because I also forgot the maximum and minimum. So I just deleted the attribute. I literally went into edit, and then if you have a attribute selected, when you go to edit, you have the option to delete it, which I already did. So I'm going to add a fresh one, just do it from scratch. Add attribute, left index curl. Do not forget this time to add my minimum and maximum values. Hit OK. Away we go. So what I didn't do last time is refresh things here. Totally forgot. Easy to do. So I'm hoping you guys are going to be more careful. You'll learn from my mistakes. So I'm going to load the driver again with this selected. There it is. Highlight it so that it's the current active driver. And make sure that the index finger rotate Y is set up for curl. Now I can go in and set my default key at 0. set my 10 curl key. So I'm going to rotate the 2 end fingers only. I'm going to leave the base finger alone. Again, adjusting the groups, not the controllers. Set my key. Now I should have a finger curl. And maybe I'll make the opposite of the curl, so my -10 value, so I'll set it to -10. For that, I will kind of pull the finger back, so I will go and pop that up. Kind of bend the finger down and rotate the tip out, so it's kind of retracting the finger. Again, my skinning is not great, so it looks a little bit distorted, but I'll set that key and test it. So now if I go to 0, it'll be neutral. So I got the ability to curl it, and I've got the ability to retract it. Ding, 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 ding. I can do the point. I can curl it. So you can see all that in one. Because you got a negative and a positive, you kind of have options. I could have just flexed it the opposite direction like I did for the fist. It's totally up to you. Whatever you think is useful. Keeping in mind that even though we've defined these poses, you still have the ability to use your controllers as an animator to tweak these values and adjust that starting pose. So, like I said, for the assignment, I'm going to require that you guys create at least a fist spread and one other custom attribute of your own with your own custom pose. So that is it for setting up our basic hand rig along with our basic pose system. Next steps is to attach this to the body, and then we'll be done with the arms and hands.